Welcome back to another episode of Spindle Feeds. Today we're working on a shaft for a 605 Supreme baler. Customer complaint is that the bearing has worn into the shaft and he'd like to have that built back up. But not only that, he'd like to have this hard faced. So we're going to mill this down about 60 thousandths. And then build it back up. And the reason for that is I kind of geek out on manufacturer specs. The welding rod, the hard facing rod that I'm using, provides with one weld layer, you get a Rockwell C of 50, but with a second layer, it will bring you up to a Rockwell 54. So I want to be able to have enough penetration and enough layer there to get below where this is worn, so it provides adequate toughness and strength to prevent this from galling this hex shaft again. So let's get started. All right, so we've got our shaft in the vise. We've got an end stop, and we need to mill off. Let's take a measure of the width of this bearing. A little over an inch and 5/8, so we'll go 2 inches. We have our witness marks, we know we're roughly where we need to be. So yeah, let's get started. Looks pretty good right there. We'll set a 0. And from there we can just go over 2 inches as we mill along. Just touch off. Figure that out. Inches. So it's 50 thousandths. All right. So we'll flip this to the next quadrant. We'll finish milling this out, and I'll bring you back when it's time to weld. All right, we're back. So we have our shaft in the vise here. I've made some welding runoff plates. I'll be putting them on each side, welding around it, and then whenever I weld, I'm not going to have a bunch of spatter and starts, and whenever I mill it off, it'll be a nice square transition. I've got the rod in the rod oven. What we're going to do first is we're going to get the torch out, and we're going to put a little bit of heat to this, because this is a pretty thick piece of steel, and it's just going to suck the heat right out of the weld if we don't preheat it first. So let's set up the torch. I don't have a rosebud, but it'll be okay. I'm not going to cut anything. It should distribute the heat fine. We'll get this preheated and we'll start building it up. I have a temperature stick here for 300 Fahrenheit. And yeah, we're looking good. I'm having to weld this one horizontal section at a time because this welding rod only welds horizontal. The manufacturer states that you can't weld uphill, overhead, only flat. So this is going to take a little bit of time to get these laid out. Okay, so I'm going to flip this around, put the runoff pads on the other side, and then we'll bring it back. Alrighty, so we got our runoff plates welded on. Got it cleaned up. Now we're going to build this surface up a little above the level of the shaft, and then take it over to the milling machine and mill it down. Alright guys, just an update. We got the first layer down. We got it cleaned up. Got the starts ground down. Probably do a little more cleanup around that edge before starting layer number 2, but this is where we're at. And I'm not gonna record welding all of layer number 2. The process isn't any different, so I'm gonna get this second layer welded up, and I'll bring you back after that, and we'll be over at the milling machine. Alright folks, we're back. We've got our shaft built up with 2 layers of weld. We have our shell mill in the machine, and we're getting ready to start turning this down. Okay, I think it's about time to do a quick check on the depth, just to make sure we don't wind up cutting this under the level of the main shaft. This isn't a super high precision measurement. I just want to get a general idea. Yeah, we're still proud. Okay, good. One other thing, I'm not going to cut these runoff plates off until I get all sides milled down. I want to make sure that I don't have any low spots or any spots where there may be porosity that I'll have to fill back in. These plates have helped to protect this shaft during the welding process. So if I need to do any more welding, these plates will still be here until we get any defects welded and machined out. These will be the last things to come off before we take this over to the surface grinder. So I'm going to continue milling this down, get all sides close. I want to be about 5/1000ths proud on each of these sides. We'll check for defects. If there's none, we'll remove these runoff plates and then we'll take this over to the surface grinder. I'll bring you back after I get finished milling all these sides. Alright guys, I just wanted to give you an update. We have one side milled down to within about 5/1000ths proud. But what I wanted to show you was how clean these edges are by using these runoff pads. And all I had to do was just mill up to it and then just snapped it right off. So now we have a super clean line, and when I go to grind this, it's just going to blend in so much better. So I'm going to continue on with this. We'll bring you back whenever either we find something interesting going on with this shaft, or once we get all the sides milled down and all these runoff plates off and ready for a surface grind. All right, we are back. We got all 6 sides milled down, proud about between 5 and 10/1000ths. We've got all but one runoff plate removed. This one's been milled. Basically what I had to do is, after I milled the flat, I came up 10/1000ths and then started milling to the side to get this weld undercut. I came in about 120/1000ths on each plate, and then that gives it just enough to where you can just take a screwdriver or some type of pry bar and it just comes right out. So now that we got that done, we'll get this piece out of the vise and we'll get it over to the surface grinder. Really happy with how this weld turned out. I found zero porosity. I mean, I think you could x-ray this hard surface weld and it would pass. So this is going to be really solid, and I don't think there should be any issues for the customer going forward. So all right, well, we'll get this out. We'll get it set up in the surface grinder and we'll bring you back. All right guys, we got this shaft mounted on this grinder. We've got it trammed in so it's level and square with the bed. Yeah, so let's start taking these down. All right, we got a touch off. All right, that feels pretty smooth. So we'll call that side good. Flip it over, do the other side. All right, well, we're back. We got this shaft ground, and we were just doing a bearing fit. Slides on there really nice. Not a whole lot of play there, just enough. Quite a bit less than what we originally had, just the bare shaft. So now this turned out really good. I think that the customer is going to like this and have many seasons of use out of this shaft. So with that, we'll sign off. Hit that like button, drop a comment. We always appreciate engagement on this channel. So until next time, take care.